Okay, so in accessible design, we talk a ton about color contrast, right? But what if I told you the temperature of your colors was just as important? Today, we're going to dig into a hidden biological factor that can literally make or break a user's experience, and that's color temperature.
So, imagine this. You've done everything by the book. You ran your designs through all the contrast checkers, and you passed with flying colors. But what if your perfectly accessible website is still causing people eye strain, fatigue, or even real physical pain? The answer might be hiding in something that your checker just doesn't measure.
And this slide says it all. On the left, you've got a design that is technically compliant. It checks all the WCAG boxes. But on the right, you have a design that just feels better. It's fundamentally more comfortable to look at. And the only real difference? It's the color temperature of that white background. This is the whole idea we're exploring today. Compliance is not the same thing as comfort.
And that really gets to the heart of it. While the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, WCAG, are absolutely vital, they're the starting line, not the finish line. A contrast checker is great, but all it does is tell you the mathematical difference between two colors. It doesn't tell you a single thing about the quality of the light those colors are putting out.
And here's why that matters so much. One of the foundational principles of accessibility is that information has to be perceivable. So, if the harsh glare from a cool blue-white screen is causing someone to squint or get a headache or just look away, well, that's a barrier. It doesn't matter if you have a perfect contrast ratio, the design is failing at a really fundamental level.
So to really get why this happens, we need to dip into a little bit of biology. Let's be real, our eyes did not evolve to stare at glowing rectangles all day long. They evolved to process the full spectrum, ever-changing light of the sun. And that's the key to understanding why digital light affects us so deeply.
The main concept we need to grab onto here is color temperature. Now, this has nothing to do with how hot something is to the touch. The best way to think about it is like a thermostat for light. It's measured on a scale called Kelvin, and it just describes where a light's color falls on a spectrum, from warm, like candlelight, to cool, like a bright blue sky.
And what's so fascinating is how this Kelvin scale maps to our everyday life. See, low Kelvin values, anything under 300 K, feels warm and kind of reddish, like a sunset. Then you have high Kelvin values, over 5,000 K, which are cool and bluish. Now take a wild guess where most of our screens are set by default. Yep, around 6,500 K, way up there in that cool blue range.
So what is all that cool blue light actually doing to our eyes? Well, it's pretty wild. Blue light has a really short wavelength, which means it scatters more easily when it enters our eyes. This effect has a fancy name, chromatic aberration, but in simple terms, it means your eye's lens can't focus the blue light on the exact same point as other colors. It creates this tiny little blur or halo, and what happens next? Your eye muscles have to work overtime, constantly readjusting to keep things sharp, and that leads directly to eye strain and fatigue.
But wait, it actually gets even deeper than that. Our eyes have these special receptors with something called melanopsin. Now, its job isn't about seeing. Its job is to regulate our 24-hour internal clock, our circadian rhythm, and it is super sensitive to blue light. So when it gets blasted with a flood of blue light from a screen, it sends a powerful signal to our brain that says, hey, it's high noon, be awake, which, as you can imagine, can seriously mess with your sleep if you're trying to wind down at night.
Okay, so we get the problem now. It's biological. So how do we, as designers, actually fix it? Well, it all starts with making smarter, more conscious choices about our color palettes, especially our backgrounds.
This slide just shows the difference so clearly, doesn't it? On the left, that pure white background is basically acting like a miniature light panel shining right in your face. It creates glare and that fuzzy chromatic aberration we just talked about. But on the right, just by shifting to a warm off-white, you immediately cut the glare and reduce the blue light. The text just looks and feels crisper, and it's way easier to read.
Now, dark mode has its own unique problem, and it's called halation. For a lot of people, especially those with astigmatism, bright white text on a pure black background seems to kind of glow or bleed into the black. It makes the letters look fuzzy. The solution? Just don't use pure black. A dark gray, like the one on the right, gives you a softer base. It tones down that glow and makes the text look so much clearer.
Now look, for most of us, making these adjustments is all about improving comfort. But we have to remember, for a really significant number of users, this isn't just a nice to have, it is an absolute medical necessity.
We're talking about people dealing with photosensitivity or chronic migraines. We're talking about users with Irlen syndrome or even certain low vision conditions. For these folks, the harsh, high-frequency blue light coming from a standard screen isn't just uncomfortable. It can be a direct trigger for pain, for visual stress, even for disorientation.
So let's be super clear on this. Giving these users control over their digital environment, specifically its color temperature, is a profound act of accessibility. We're moving way beyond basic usability here. We're getting into the realm of health and safety.
Okay, this all sounds really important, but what can you actually do about it? Let's get into some practical, concrete steps you can take in your very next project, like today. First up, and this is an easy one, rethink your base colors. Just move away from the extremes of pure white and pure black. For your light theme, try a warm off-white. For your dark theme, use a rich gray and pair it with a slightly softer white for the text. These are tiny changes, but they make a huge ergonomic difference. But really, the ultimate solution is to give the user control. You can add theme toggles, light, dark, and maybe even a dedicated warm or sepia option. Even better, you can use the Prefers Color Scheme media query in your CSS. That will automatically respect the user's system settings. It meets them where they already are without making them do any extra work. This whole way of thinking, it's actually part of a bigger philosophy called biophilic design. And it's really just the simple idea that we should be creating technology that works with our human biology instead of constantly fighting against it. I mean, think about it. For millions of years, our bodies have been tuned to the rhythm of natural light, warm at sunrise and sunset, cool at midday. But most of our screens are just stuck on midday, 24/7. The goal here is to create more humane digital spaces, ones that honor these natural cycles and make technology feel a little less artificial and a lot more intuitive. So I'll leave you with this question to take with you. Is your design just compliant, or is it truly comfortable? Is it working against our biology, or is it actually aligned with human nature? Because when you start considering color temperature, you're not just improving accessibility, you're helping create a more humane digital world for absolutely everyone.